It's a calm September evening on the Baltic Sea. The water stretches dark and quiet between Sweden and Estonia, the surface reflecting the lights of passing vessels as they navigate the established shipping lanes. From the Swedish port of Tallinn, passenger ferries depart on schedule, carrying hundreds of travelers across this narrow stretch of water. The journey is routine, completed thousands of times each year without incident. But beneath the surface of this ordinary crossing, a series of structural weaknesses have gone undetected. And for one of these vessels, the combination of heavy seas and a hidden flaw will create Europe's deadliest maritime disaster since World War II. This is the story of the MS Estonia, Baltic Sea, 1994. The MS Estonia is a roll-on, roll-off passenger ferry built by Meyer Werft in Germany and launched in 1980. She measures 155.43 meters in length with a beam of 24.2 meters and a gross tonnage of 15,598 tons. Originally named Viking Sally, the vessel operated under various owners before being purchased by Estline in 1993 and renamed Estonia. The ferry is designed to carry 998 passengers and 350 vehicles across the Baltic Sea, between Tallinn, Estonia and Stockholm, Sweden. The ship features a bow visor, a large hinged door at the front of the vessel that opens upward to allow vehicles to drive on and off via an internal ramp. This design is standard for roll-on, roll-off ferries, and it enables rapid loading and unloading at port. The visor is secured by hydraulic locks and steel hinges, designed to withstand the forces encountered during normal sea conditions. Behind the bow visor sits an inner ramp that provides watertight integrity when raised and locked into position. On September 27, 1994, the Estonia departs Tallinn at 7 p.m. bound for Stockholm. The vessel carries 989 people, including crew and passengers, along with approximately 200 vehicles and cargo. Weather forecasts indicate moderate conditions deteriorating overnight, with winds expected to reach 20 to 25 meters per second and wave heights of 4 to 5 meters. These conditions fall within operational parameters for Baltic Sea crossings. The passenger manifest includes Estonians, Swedes, Germans, and other nationalities making the overnight journey. Many are business travelers and tourists occupying the ship's cabins and public spaces. The crew consists of 186 personnel, primarily Estonian nationals with extensive experience operating Baltic ferries. The captain is a 50-year-old Estonian mariner who has commanded passenger vessels for over a decade. The Estonia proceeds northwest through the Gulf of Finland toward the open Baltic Sea. By 10 p.m. the vessel clears the Gulf and enters rougher water. Wind speeds increase and wave heights build as forecast. The ferry maintains its scheduled route at approximately 40 knots, the bow visor rising and falling with each wave as she pushes through the deteriorating conditions. This motion is normal for vessels of this design in moderate seas. Shortly after midnight on September 28th, several crew members and passengers report hearing metallic banging sounds coming from the bow area. The source of the noise is not immediately identified, though some assume it is related to vehicles shifting on the cargo deck or normal ship operations in rough seas. No alarms are raised, and the vessel continues on course. By 1 a.m., conditions have worsened, with wind speeds now reaching 25 meters per second and waves measuring 5 to 6 meters. At approximately 1:15 a.m., the bow visor locking mechanism begins to fail under the repeated stress of wave impacts. the hydraulic locks and securing bolts, weakened by metal fatigue and corrosion, can no longer hold the visor in position. The massive steel door starts to separate from the hull. Within minutes, the visor tears completely free, breaking the hinges and Atlantic lugs that attach it to the ship. The 55-ton steel structure falls into the sea and sinks. With the bow visor gone, waves immediately begin striking the inner ramp. This ramp, designed as a secondary barrier, is not built to withstand direct wave forces. At 1:20 a.m., the ramp locks fail, and it drops open into the horizontal position. The bow of the Estonia is now completely exposed to the sea. Water floods into the vehicle deck at a rate of several hundred tons per minute. The sudden influx of water causes an immediate list to starboard. Vehicles on the car deck break free from their securing straps and slide across the deck, crashing into the starboard side. This shifting weight accelerates the list. Within 3 minutes, the ferry is tilted 30 degrees to starboard. The captain receives reports of flooding and attempts to turn the vessel toward the Swedish coast, but the Estonia is already becoming unmanageable. By 1:25 a.m., the list reaches 45 degrees. Passengers and crew struggle to maintain footing on the tilted decks. The ship's public address system broadcasts an evacuation order in Estonian, Swedish, and English. But the severe list makes it nearly impossible for most people to reach the lifeboat stations. The lifeboats on the port side are now suspended far above the water, while those on the starboard side are pressed against the hull or already submerged. At 1:30 a.m., the Estonia rolls past 90 degrees. The vessel is now on her side, her port side facing skyward. Water continues flooding the car deck and lower compartments. People trapped inside the ship attempt to climb through corridors that have become vertical shafts. Some manage to reach the outer hull and break through windows to escape onto the exposed side of the ship. Others remain trapped inside as the vessel continues to capsize. At approximately 1:50 a.m., the Estonia disappears beneath the surface. The entire sequence, from the bow visor failure to final sinking, takes roughly 35 minutes. Of the 989 people aboard, only 137 will survive. 852 people perish, making it the deadliest peacetime maritime disaster in European waters since the Second World War. The first distress signal is transmitted at 1:22 in the morning, just minutes after flooding begins. The Finnish vessel, Silja Symphony, located 30 kilometers away, receives the mayday and immediately alters course toward the Estonia's last known position. The Finnish Coast Guard dispatches helicopters and vessels. Swedish and Estonian rescue assets are mobilized, but under rapid sinking and severe weather conditions severely limit what can be accomplished. Survivors in the water face hypothermia in the 10 degrees Celsius sea. Those who managed to board life rafts or cling to debris wait in darkness and heavy seas for rescue. Helicopters arrive and begin winching survivors from the water, but the operation is extremely dangerous in the high winds and waves. Many victims die from hypothermia before rescue arrives. Others simply vanish beneath the surface. By dawn on September 28th, rescue operations continue, but the focus has shifted from finding survivors to recovering bodies. 94 bodies are eventually recovered from the sea. The remaining 758 victims remain with the wreck or were lost in the Baltic Sea. The Estonia lies in approximately 80 meters of water between Sweden and Finland. Within days, a joint accident investigation commission was established with representatives from Estonia, Finland, and Sweden. The Commission began examining evidence from survivors, crew members, recovered debris, and underwater surveys of the wreck. In December 1997, the Commission issued its final report. The official conclusion attributed the disaster to the detachment of the bow visor caused by metal fatigue in the locking devices, followed by the opening of the inner ramp and the subsequent flooding of the vehicle deck. This explanation immediately faced scrutiny from multiple sources. Some survivors reported hearing an explosion or an impact sound before the ship began listing, suggesting the vessel may have struck a submerged object or suffered an internal explosion. Maritime engineers questioned whether bow visor failure alone could cause such a rapid sinking, noting that the inner ramp should have provided sufficient watertight integrity if it had been properly secured. Several crew members disputed aspects of the official timeline. Alternative theories emerge. Some investigators proposed that the Estonia was carrying undeclared military cargo for the Swedish government, possibly military electronics or vehicles being transported covertly between Sweden and Estonia. Proponents of this theory suggest that an explosion related to this cargo may have caused or contributed to the sinking, and that the bow visor failure was either a cover story or a secondary factor. Evidence cited includes witness accounts of military vehicles being loaded under suspicious circumstances and unusual cargo manifests. Others point to a possible collision with a submarine. In 1994, Russian, Swedish, and NATO submarines regularly operated in the Baltic Sea, often conducting exercises or intelligence-gathering missions in proximity to commercial shipping lanes. The theory suggests the Estonia may have collided with a submarine at periscope depth, causing hull damage that led to flooding, with the bow visor failure occurring as a consequence of the collision rather than as the primary cause. In 2004, a German documentary team conducted an unauthorized dive on the wreck and filmed damage to the hull that appears inconsistent with the official explanation. The footage shows a large hole in the hull below the waterline on the starboard side, suggesting possible impact damage or an internal explosion. Swedish authorities denounced the dive as illegal and disturbing a gravesite, but they do not address the specific findings in detail. The wreck site was designated a maritime grave in 1995, with Swedish and Estonian law prohibiting diving or salvage operations without government permission. This designation is intended to respect the hundreds of victims who remain with the ship, but it also prevents independent examination of evidence. Critics argue that the gravesite designation serves to limit scrutiny of the official investigation and prevent discovery of information that might contradict the accepted narrative. Questions persist about what evidence exists in government files. The Swedish government classifies certain documents related to the Estonia investigation, citing national security concerns. Requests for declassification are denied, fueling suspicions that sensitive information about the ship's cargo or circumstances of the sinking is being withheld. Family members of victims form advocacy groups demanding full transparency and independent reinvestigation. In 2006, a group of Estonian and Swedish relatives commissioned a private investigation led by a maritime safety expert. This investigation identified multiple discrepancies in the official findings, including questions about the sequence of structural failures, the role of cargo, securing procedures, and whether design flaws in the bow visor attachment system were known prior to the disaster. The private investigation called for the wreck to be raised and examined, but this recommendation was not implemented. The Estonian government conducted a supplementary investigation in 2009, reviewing certain aspects of the original findings. This investigation confirms the basic conclusion that bow visor detachment caused the sinking, but it acknowledges shortcomings in the original inquiry's examination of alternative scenarios. The supplementary report recommended additional safety measures for roll-on roll-off ferries, but it provides no new information about disputed aspects of the disaster. Over the years, various survivors and maritime experts continue to challenge the official narrative. Some point to similar bow visor incidents on other ferries that did not result in catastrophic sinking, questioning why the Estonia's inner ramp failed so completely. Others note that the investigation commission did not adequately explain why the bow visor's locking mechanisms failed simultaneously when they were designed with redundancy to prevent such an occurrence. The story enters popular consciousness through documentaries, books, and media coverage that often emphasize conspiracy theories over the established facts. For many people, the MS Estonia becomes synonymous with government cover-up and unanswered questions, though the extent to which the official investigation was genuinely flawed versus misunderstood remains disputed. Families of the victims remain divided between those who accept the official findings and those who believe the truth has been deliberately obscured. In 2020, new underwater surveys of the wreck were conducted using advanced sonar technology. These surveys identified additional hull damage and structural anomalies not previously documented. The Estonian government announced that these findings warranted a new investigation, but as of the current date, no comprehensive re-examination has been completed. Sweden maintains that the wreck should remain undisturbed as a gravesite. Today, the Baltic Sea continues to see regular ferry traffic between Estonia, Sweden, and Finland, though safety regulations for ro-ro vessels have been significantly strengthened since 1994. Modern ferries incorporate improved bow visor designs, enhanced watertight subdivision, and better vehicle securing systems. But for the families of the 852 people who died aboard the Estonia, these improvements offer no comfort. In Tallinn, a memorial lists the names of all who perished. The wall of granite standing as a permanent reminder of lives lost. Each September 28th, ceremonies are held in Estonia and Sweden to remember the victims. The debate continues about what really happened that night in the Baltic, with official explanations standing against persistent questions that have never been satisfactorily answered. The wreck rests in darkness 80 meters below the surface, a sealed grave that some believe holds secrets the governments of Sweden and Estonia would prefer remain buried forever.